Aho, buju indanwe maknadok. Anin, kakigabo indijnakas. Mekanak indudem. Mekanak wajuing indunjaba. Besho kakaba kang indanongom. Apajigomi-wich bizindawig. And what I said there was, hello, all of my relatives. My name is Kagigabo. I'm Turtle Clan. I'm a descendant of Turtle Mountain. I live close to Minneapolis today. And I wanted to thank all of you for tuning in and listening to this live Ojibwe Word of the Day. This is something I look forward to doing every week. And on Thursday nights, if you take a few moments out of your day to talk about Ojibwe, Chippewa, Anishinaabe language, culture, our history, our spirituality, our ethics, our linguistics, our philosophy, I'm incredibly grateful for that. And I want to thank all of you for a few moments of your day. So, Pijigo-miigwech, thank you so much. And to start off with, I want to also say thank you for all of the well wishes. I was a little under the weather. I got a little sick during the holiday break, and so many of you said so many kind things and had so many very kind wishes and statements about getting better soon, and I'm feeling great right now. And I wanted to say Pijigo-miigwech. Thank you for your prayers, thank you for your well wishes, and please all of you do take care as well. And we're a week into the new year. And so this is usually when I think everyone has the custom of creating New Year's resolutions, of having new ambitions, and we're also at the beginning of a new decade. And so I don't know where you're at after this first week. Sometimes the wishes or ambitions or resolutions that you had might start falling to the side, but what I wanted to share with all of you was my own personal New Year's resolution, not just for this year, but for the next decade. And that's Mino-bimaadizi. Mino-bimaadizi. That is my main goal. And I noticed this from the past decade, because the past decade started for me at a very low point in my life, in my career, with my relationships. And as I went through this process, that I've done a word of the day on it, Ojibwe-bimaadizi. Ojibwe-bimaadizi. As I began transforming my life, as I began changing my life, as I began growing up, and really what I think becoming a man and an adult, I began shifting my life, and I began changing my life. And one of the most transformative parts of that was learning about what I would call Chidabak-konegewanan, or the Gagigeyanak-konegewanan. One of those would mean the great law, or the sacred law. The other would mean the eternal law. But we also call these the seven grandfather teachings. And when I began applying those in my life, I can look through that whole process of the decade, how things began to transform for me. Because this is what we call the great law. And if you follow this, and it's not a law like a legal code, it's more like a law of physics. If you act this particular way, these particular reactions will happen. And so when I began learning about them and going in depth with them and actually trying to live them, because each one was a verb, it led to Mino-bimaadizi. It led to me leading a good life. So in all of my decisions, in all of my choices, when I began realizing that, wait, every single thing I am doing is not just affecting me, it's not just affecting all of my relatives, it's affecting someone 7 generations from now. And when I realized that, I wanted to act very kindly towards those people who I'll never meet, who I'll never see, who I'll never visit with, who I'll never talk to. As well as there was a self-interest there too. I wanted to seek out a good life. And so the way our ancestors laid this out for us, it was, if you seek out a life with saki-itiwan, with compassionate, unconditional love for one another, if you seek out a life with debwewan, with truth, with guai-kwatiziwan, with virtue, with righteousness, with honesty, you live correctly, you live properly, you live in alignment with what you say and what you do. That is to lead a holistic life, a holy life. If you can live with dabasendizowan, humility, and this was a big one for me, where I no longer sought to be more important than any of my relatives, where I was seeking to not think highly of myself, where I was able to totally embrace that law, that sacred law of humility, to be humble, to not exalt myself above my relatives, but to actually say, without my relatives, I could not possibly survive. And so that really helped me along the way. With minaadzi, with respect for one another, with mutual, kind respect, going easy on one another. Another way I like to translate that kind of respect is acknowledging the sanctity of the life of your fellow human beings, of your fellow relatives. And those relatives could be the oasiag, the four-legged, the animals. It could be the ಪಿᒫಟಿᓯ, the winged ones, the birds, the giguyag, the fish, the mittigug, the trees, the nibi, the water. All of those are relatives of ours. And to go easy on them, and to treat them with great care and great affection, that kind of respect. Ultimately, doing that led me to trying to live a life without fear. And that was a huge one too, because at the time I was very anxious, I was very worried, I had nonstop anxiety. And what I embraced then was strength of heart. Zungide ewan. And it was not just being brave, not just having strength of heart to not be afraid, but to be willing to unconditionally love someone. Be willing, no matter what the consequences were, to respect someone. That strength of heart, that facing the fear of trying to be humble in a society that is very self-centered, that is very acquisitive, that is very competitive, of seeking out a life of truth, rather than speaking half-truths or being deceptive. And in that case, I began acting with nibuakawan, with intelligence. I acted with wisdom. And literally, I think there's this verb part, this morpheme in there, to begin acting with vision, to be able to see things exactly as they are, and then interact with them in that kind of relationship. So I thought that was very important. And when I went through all of that, it began showing me what all of these people, while I was learning the language, were talking about. It was Mino-bimaadizi. It was Mino-bimaadizi. And really, I want to present that word of the day as a sentence, because that's what it is. It's a verb. It's a way that you live. It is how you act. It is not a noun. It's not just a thing. It is a living, breathing, acting verb. And so that's what I'm seeking out. Nui Mino-bimaadizi. I wish, I want to lead a good life. And if I can do that, it won't just be good for me. I will also be able to positively affect all of my relatives. Because if I am all of my relatives, and all of my relatives are me, if I radically and profoundly change myself, with great affection for myself, as well as for all of my relatives, then I can positively affect the whole world. And so, as we've been doing these words of the day, I really wanted to share with people who may be seeking out, as I was at that time, a decade ago, where am I going with my life? How am I living? What direction should I go in? At a time when I was lost spiritually, I was lost philosophically, I was not working the way that I wanted to. And when I began seeking out answers, I found that our ancestors had left us a path, an ancient path, and a good one to walk. And that having an opportunity to share that with all of you has been a great privilege, and it's been a great pleasure for me. So, I wish, I hope, I pray that we all lead a good life. And in that, I believe we can genuinely begin creating a better world for our ancestors who are coming, as well as begin healing people who may no longer be here. Ancestors who went through terrible times, who went through trying and difficult times. Maybe we can begin healing them as well, because I would like to make that contribution as well. So mi ie wakiroyan nongom. That's all I'm going to say this evening. I want to say apajigomi goich bizantai. Thank you all so much for listening. And again, if you know someone who is interested in our language, or culture, or history, or spirituality, or ethics, or linguistics, please feel free to like and share this video. Aho. Dagasarayan Guamazik. Please, all of you, do take care. Thank you all so much for listening. And and the spirits will decide when we see each other again.